Welcome to the deep dive. We take a bunch of sources, pull out the key ideas, and really try to make sense of some big topics.
Yeah, the fascinating ones, the challenging ones.
Exactly. And today, it's something we all know, something we all think about: money.
Can't avoid it.
Nope. We think about earning it, saving it, spending it, debt, investing. I mean, it's just fundamental, right? Part of daily life.
Completely.
But here's something that honestly kind of blew my mind when I was looking into this. Our sources show the Bible talks about money and finance more than almost anything else.
It really does.
More than prayer, more than faith.
Yeah, even more than prayer or faith combined. It's a truly remarkable statistic, one that definitely catches people off guard.
I bet.
You think ancient religious texts, you expect, I don't know, theology, spiritual rules, maybe ethics.
Right, the big spiritual stuff.
Exactly. But the sheer volume of verses about wealth, possessions, finances, it's not just noticeable, it's like foundational. So this deep dive, it's not just about knowing what the Bible says.
Yeah.
It's really going to challenge, I think, some of our basic assumptions about wealth, poverty, how we handle things.
Okay. So what's the mission for the listener today?
Well, the goal is to help you, our listener, get a really deep and honestly often countercultural view of money, straight from these core teachings.
Countercultural, I like that.
Yeah, we're talking about insights that could genuinely make you rethink how your financial choices impact your life, your values, and maybe surprisingly, your whole spiritual journey, your connection with God.
That's a big promise. And yeah, that's what we're aiming for. Our insights today, they come from looking really closely at these scriptural teachings, analyzing tons of passages, thinking about the context.
A really thorough exploration.
Definitely. So let's jump in. First up, money's surprising centrality in Scripture.
Right. And to start, there's just this unavoidable truth the sources really hammer home.
Yeah.
You simply cannot get away from money.
No escaping it.
None. It's not like an optional add-on in life.
Yeah.
It's woven into almost everything we do, every decision. Nobody is truly financially free in the sense that they just don't need to think about it anymore.
Yeah, that's a fantasy, maybe.
Pretty much. I mean, think about it. From the moment you wake up, flick on a light,
Costs money.
the food you eat, clothes, your home, getting around, education, healthcare. Pretty much every part of daily life is touched by money, often depends on it.
It's always there, shaping things, opportunities, security, even what worries us.
Absolutely. It's a constant factor.
And what's really wild when you dig into the sources, especially the teachings of Jesus, his focus on this is, well, unexpected.
Very unexpected for many people.
We think Jesus, we think love, forgiveness, kingdom of heaven, the big spiritual themes, and those are crucial, obviously.
Absolutely central, yes.
But when scholars actually break down his teachings, particularly the parables, this pattern emerges. Over a third of his parables are directly about money, finance, or managing resources.
It's a huge proportion. Staggering, really. And we're not just talking about, like, a passing mention. No, these are whole stories built around how people handle money. Their wealth, their debts, investments, bosses.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Think about the parable of the talents. Servants given money, expected to manage it wisely.
Right, invest it. Don't bury it.
Exactly. Or the rich fool. The guy obsessed with building bigger barns, totally forgetting about his own mortality.
Yeah, classic.
There's the shrewd manager, too. That one's a bit tricky, controversial even. Jesus seems to praise his foresight in a financial mess. Maybe not his ethics, but his practical smarts about the future.
Interesting.
And then you've got the lost coin, the dishonest debtor. So many stories. They're just abstract allegories. They're packed with practical lessons, all using a financial frame.
Stewardship, greed, planning, what really matters.
All of it. Through the lens of money. It's not some side topic for him. It's integral to his teaching. Central.
Wow. A third of his parables, that really does shift your perspective on his priorities. And this biblical focus, it's not just in the stories, right? You mentioned the stats earlier.
Well, absolutely. It's statistically overwhelming. The sources point to 2,350 verses specifically on money and wealth.
2,350, that's a lot.
It is. And get this, that number is more than all the verses about faith and prayer put together.
Seriously, more than faith and prayer?
Combined. Yeah. It's not a subtle hint. It's a massive, deliberate focus across the Old and New Testaments.
From the laws about tithing.
Right, in the Torah.
Yeah.
To Proverbs on debt and hard work, uses his parables, Paul's letters about generosity, contentment. It's everywhere. consistent.
So the sheer numbers force the question, right? Why? Why this intense focus on money in a sacred book?
That's the million-dollar question, as you said. If it's not just about practical budgeting advice or how to get rich,
Yeah.
what's the deeper thing? Why give money such prominence?
Yeah, what's really going on?
And the answer that the sources give is, well, it's simple, but incredibly profound. Money acts as a spiritual thermometer.
A spiritual thermometer. Okay.
It doesn't just measure your bank account. It reflects the true state of your heart.
Ah.
The key verse, everyone knows it, Matthew 6.21, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. That's the core idea. Money reveals what you truly love, what you value most, where your ultimate loyalty is.
So it's like a test exposing what's real underneath.
Exactly. It exposes the authenticity of your faith, your spiritual life. It kind of unmasks your real priorities, often in ways you might not even realize until you're tested.
You mentioned the hypothetical windfall example earlier, like getting 10 million AUD. What's the first thought?
Right. Is it joy, sleepless nights, thinking about property, cars, stocks?
Right.
Or how quickly does the thought, maybe I should give a tithe, pop up? Often it's an afterthought for many.
Revealing priorities.
Instantly. But it's not just sudden windfalls, is it? What about just everyday money stuff? Our spending habits, saving, anxieties, how does that thermometer work day to day?
That's a really good point. Life isn't usually about lottery wins. It's the small stuff.
And the small stuff is arguably even more revealing. Think about our regular spending. Do our choices show, concern for others, justice, or just me? Instant gratification versus discipline.
And saving.
Yeah. Saving, too. Are we saving purely for our own security, trusting only ourselves, or saving with a kind of trust in God, maybe preparing to give later?
And how we react emotionally, like if the market goes up or down.
Oh, absolutely. That's a quick temperature check.
Yeah.
Huge excitement over a gain might show wealth becoming an idol. Paralyzing fear over a surprise bill maybe reveals a lack of trust in God's provision.
Even how much time and energy we pour into work.
Definitely. Are we just relentlessly chasing more, or is there a balance? These little everyday financial choices are reactions where we invest our time. They're constant, subtle readouts of our heart's true direction.
So it's clear God's concern isn't just about, say, earning money ethically, like having an honest job.
No, it goes way beyond that. He also deeply cares about how we use it. Spending, saving, giving habits, all of that.
But most importantly,
God cares about how we view money, our attitude. Is it a tool for His purposes, a resource to manage for the good of others, for His kingdom, or has it subtly become an idol?
replacing him, demanding our trust.
Exactly. That internal posture, that's what truly reveals the heart's temperature.
And this link between our money and our spiritual life, it's direct, not separate boxes.
Absolutely direct, foundational. Many people try to compartmentalize, right? This is my money life, this is my spiritual life.
Yeah, keep them apart.
But the biblical view totally rejects that. Our sources stress that financial management directly impacts our relationship with God. Why? Because money touches deep issues. Trust, obedience, gratitude, love.
How so?
Well, if we see money as totally ours to control, we're kind of shrinking God's role, His sovereignty. If we hoard it out of fear, we're showing a lack of trust. If we spend it only on ourselves, we ignore the command to love our neighbor.
But managing it well, that's different.
When we manage resources faithfully, remembering they come from God and have a purpose beyond us, it actually becomes an act of worship, an act of obedience.
And messing it up, or letting money rule.
That creates a barrier. It gets in the way of our connection with God. So yeah, it's not some minor spiritual issue on the side. It's foundational. It shapes our character, our values, our obedience. Financial health and spiritual health are tangled together.
Wow. That's a powerful framework. Money as a spiritual thermometer, reflecting our deepest loyalties, it forces you to look beyond just the numbers.
Absolutely.
And this difference in perspective, it leads perfectly into our second segment. You mentioned this fascinating idea, two worlds, two economic systems.
Yes, this concept is really key to grasping the biblical view. It helps explain why our usual way of thinking about money often feels, well, out of sync with spiritual principles.
So what are these two systems?
The sources describe them pretty clearly. First, there's the human economic system. Then there's God's economic system. And they run on fundamentally different rules, different values, different goals.
Okay, let's unpack the human system first. What defines it? What makes it tick? We live in it every day.
Right. The human system is all the stuff we know intimately. Supply and demand, market forces, currency, inflation, deflation,
Yeah.
all the different isms we've come up with, capitalism, communism, socialism. These are the complex frameworks governing our global money interactions.
And what's driving it all underneath?
Underneath, it really emphasizes competition, individual effort, efficiency. We're constantly pushed to strive, outperform, maximize output, minimize input, innovate, grow. Success is often measured by accumulation, getting ahead.
And we chase that because it feels like
Yeah.
security, power.
Exactly. In this human-focused system, wealth often translates directly into power. And it provides this really strong, almost primal sense of security. It becomes a symbol of stability, control, independence.
The more you have, the safer you feel.
That's the common belief, almost instinctive. More savings, more property, bigger portfolio, higher income. It all feels like a buffer against bad luck, a guarantee of comfort, a way to control your future. That feeling of security is a huge driver for most people.
But the sources also talk about inherent flaws in this system, linked to the idea of sin in humanity. Can you explain that connection? Sin and economics might not seem obviously linked to everyone.
Sure. When we talk about sin here, it's not necessarily about individual evil acts in every transaction. It's more about this deep, pervasive human tendency towards self-interest.
Looking out for number one.
Basically, an often insatiable desire to accumulate, control, gain power, frequently at the expense of others or the common good. This inherent self-centeredness, when you scale it up across huge interconnected economic systems, well, it naturally creates structures where wealth gets concentrated.
Inequality.
Almost inevitably. It's an almost unavoidable result when systems are primarily built on individual gain without a really strong counterbalancing ethic of justice or caring for the whole community. So yeah, significant wealth inequality tends to happen. Most wealth ends up with relatively few people. And that seems to happen regardless of the specific economic model, actually. This pull towards disparity is persistent.
That clarifies sin as a kind of systemic force. You brought up fast fashion as an example of these flaws. How does that show the problems and our part in it?
Right, fast fashion. Think about where those cheap clothes often come from. Made in China, made in Vietnam, places like that. Why? Not usually because of better tech, but because labor is much, much cheaper.
Okay.
So the big brands, the names we all know, they make huge profits. They outsource the actual making of the clothes to places with low wages, often weaker environmental rules.
And the cost.
The cost is often exploited. Labor, long hours, tiny pay, sometimes unsafe conditions. Plus, these industries can be major polluters. Water contamination, massive waste, carbon emissions.
And the fast part is key too, right? Designed to not last.
Exactly. The trend is disposable fashion. Clothes wear out super quickly, shoes that almost seem to melt away. This rapid obsolescence fuels constant buying. If clothes lasted 10 years, the whole industry, built on selling lots and lots, would collapse.
So the system needs us to keep buying cheap stuff that falls apart.
Pretty much. And while we're not in the factories, by buying these super cheap, quickly replaced items, we're indirectly part of that system. We're propping it up. Our desire for a cheap wardrobe refresh has hidden costs, ethical, environmental.
That's a sobering reality check. And the COVID relief example, how did that show the flaws, especially with inequality?
Right, the pandemic relief.
Yeah.
Governments worldwide sent out huge sums of money, direct payments, business support. The intention was good, obviously. Help people survive the shutdown.
Yeah, that extra money felt like a lifesaver for many.
It did initially. But the consequence of pumping all that cash into economies, plus supply chain issues and market stuff, was a big jump in inflation.
We definitely saw that. Housing prices went nuts.
Exactly. Maybe the government gave you $1,000, but then your rent or the cost of buying a house jumped by $10,000 or more. It wiped out any benefit.
And who did that hurt most?
It disproportionately hurt the poorest. People living paycheck to paycheck, those on fixed incomes. Their buying power just shrank. Essentials got harder to afford.
Not the wealthy.
The wealthy were often insulated. Their assets' property stocks often increased significantly in value during that time. Inflation actually worked for them in many cases. They could absorb the higher costs, and many actually got richer from rising asset values.
So even well-meaning actions within the system can backfire and make inequality worse.
It illustrates how, even with good intentions, the inherent drivers of the human system, self-interest, market forces, can lead to unintended outcomes that harm the most vulnerable.
It really feels like we're caught in this inescapable system, facing these kinds of problems all the time.
That's a good way to put it. We're all deeply tangled up in this human economic system. It's hard to just opt out because it's global, interconnected, And that self-interest factor is just so pervasive. We constantly face these dilemmas: how to earn, how to buy, how to save, all while knowing about the flaws.
Which makes understanding the alternative perspective, God's economic system, even more crucial.
Exactly. It offers a radically different way to think, a different internal orientation, even if we can't completely escape the external system.
Okay, so let's pivot to God's economic system. You called it countercultural. How does it fundamentally differ from the human one we just talked about? It sounds like a total mind shift.
It really is a complete paradigm shift. It
Yeah.
starts with this core idea: God's thoughts, God's ways are just profoundly different from ours. Isaiah says it: "My thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways."
And that applies to economics too.
Hugely, shockingly almost. Our human way of thinking economically is almost always transactional, always calculating the return.
What's in it for me?
Right, if I help you, what do I get back? Even if it's just feeling good about ourselves. We operate on this mental ledger, always trying to balance the scales. It's embedded in everything from simple swaps to complex finance.
So God's system isn't like that. It's grace versus calculation.
Exactly. God's economy runs on grace, freely given, no expectation of direct, calculable return. It just smashes that human ledger.
Can you give an example of that kind of grace?
Think of a truly selfless act of kindness. Someone gives something, helps someone, expecting absolutely nothing back.
Huh.
Not even a thank you, not even internal brownie points, just pure, uncalculated generosity. That's the currency of God's economy. It feels almost alien to our quid pro quo instincts.
And Jesus is the ultimate model of this.
The ultimate model: Jesus, as God, owned and controlled everything, lacked nothing. All creation was his.
Right. Infinite resources.
Yet he chose the humblest birth: a manger, not a palace; unknown parents; a poor man's job carpenter.
Deliberately choosing low status.
Deliberately. It was a profound challenge to the human value system that prizes status, wealth, power. He came in humility, setting aside earthly advantage to show us a different way, a different set of economic values.
And his teachings directly challenge those human norms too.
Oh, constantly. Think of the Sermon on the Mount. Give, and it will be given to you.
Pressed down, shaken together, running over.
Exactly. That's not a transactional deal in the human sense. It's a spiritual principle.
Yeah.
Abundance flows from generosity. He pushed self-sacrifice, helping the poor, famously telling people, don't worry about tomorrow.
Which is the complete opposite of human economic logic. Accumulate, secure yourself, worry.
Total opposites. He taught a reversal of priorities. Trust God, not stuff.
And the cross. That's the ultimate expression of God's economy, the ultimate reversal.
It's the absolute core, the non-negotiable heart of it.
Oh.
Complete self-sacrificial giving. 2 Corinthians 8:9 nails it. For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sakes he became poor, that you through his poverty might become rich.
From a human view, the cross is total loss, defeat, poverty.
Stripped of everything, dying like a criminal. Utter failure in worldly terms.
But in God's economy,
In God's economy, that apparent ultimate poverty became the source of the greatest possible blessing for us. Through his sacrifice, we gain spiritual richness, an inheritance beyond anything we can measure.
so this is radical. It means in God's eyes, believers are considered rich, blessed, regardless of what's in their bank account.
That's the mind-blowing paradox.
That feels jarring for a lot of people. What does that richness actually mean in God's system? How does it change how we think about security, success, having enough?
It completely redefines it. In God's economy, richness isn't about dollars or assets, it's spiritual capital.
Like what?
Like grace received, forgiveness, a relationship with the Creator himself, peace that doesn't make sense sometimes, hope for eternity, a purpose bigger than just making a living. You, listener, are considered rich right now, regardless of your car or house or job title, because you have access to the unbelievable, unearned grace of Jesus.
That's miraculous.
It is. It means your security isn't ultimately in what you have, but in who holds you.
Yeah.
Your abundance isn't what you pile up, but in the endless provision of a faithful God. And success, it's not worldly status, but faithful management and a heart aligned with his purposes.
It turns everything upside down.
Completely. And Jesus didn't just talk about it, he lived it. He came to serve, to give his life. His whole life and death showed this radical service, this radical giving, making the cross the absolute centerpiece of God's economics.
Yeah.
Understanding these two clashing systems is why our money management hits our relationship with God so directly.
That's incredibly powerful, shifting rich from visible stuff to spiritual reality. Okay, let's move into segment 3. money as a spiritual test and responsibility.
Right. And a really crucial point to start with, something the sources always stress. Money itself is neutral.
Not good or evil on its own.
Exactly. It's not inherently evil. The Bible doesn't slam wealth itself. It slams the love of money. In fact, the deep view is that all things, including wealth, ultimately belong to God. Psalm 24. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it.
Okay. So the problem isn't the money, but our relationship with it, our attitude, how we use its power.
Precisely. It's not the possession, but the posture, you could say.
And that leads right into this idea of stewardship, being entrusted with things.
Exactly. The whole idea of ownership that's so central to the human system gets redefined in God's economy. We aren't the ultimate owners. We're stewards, managers, entrusted by God to handle the wealth, the resources, even the talents he gives us.
So everything comes from God, ultimately.
That's the view. Every bit of wealth, every skill, every chance, it originates with him and belongs to him. So managing these earthly things faithfully isn't just about being smart with money or responsible. It's actually a deep spiritual practice.
A test of character, showing loyalty.
Yes, and it prepares us for bigger spiritual responsibilities. Scripture teaches that how we handle the small things shows how we'd handle much larger, more significant trust from God.
The sources used a really interesting, kind of challenging example about this test of wealth involving a church. Can you walk us through that? It really shows the subtle ways things can go wrong.
Yeah, it's a good thought experiment.
Mhm.
Imagine a church community, right, dedicated to God.
Mm.
Suddenly they get a huge windfall, say 10 million Australian dollars cash.
Okay, nice problem to have.
Right. But it immediately presents this profound spiritual test. Not just for the leaders, but for everyone. There's the initial excitement, sure, but then the temptations creep in.
Like what?
Well, the easy route might be self-indulgence. Maybe upgrade to 5-star catering for church events, lavish comforts on the building, fancy renovations that are more about looking good than serving needs. Or maybe just hoard it in the bank, afraid of the future.
So the question becomes, what's the purpose?
Exactly. Will this money be used for kingdom purposes, furthering God's values like justice, compassion, helping the needy, mission work, spreading truth? Or will it mainly serve the comfort, desires, and sense of security of the community itself?
And you said this test is clearer when you have a lot.
Often, yes. When resources are tight, focus is on survival. Basic needs, choices are stark. But when there's an overflow, when that pressure is off, our real priorities surface. Does the abundance lead to more generosity, bigger vision, deeper commitment to God's mission? Or does it lead to self-satisfaction, arguments about spending, a slow drift towards just being comfortable?
It really makes you think of that biblical line, to whom much is given.
Precisely. Luke 12:48. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded,
Right.
and from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked.
And that's not just money, right? You mentioned talents, too.
Not just money at all. God gives different gifts. Some people are natural entrepreneurs. They just see opportunities, create value, maybe without much formal training. Others excel elsewhere. Maybe they're incredibly diligent in a regular job, skilled craftspeople, amazing caregivers, brilliant thinkers.
So the principle isn't about how much you have or even what kind of talent.
No, it's about how faithfully you manage whatever you've been given, whether it's a lot or a little, visible or hidden. A person struggling financially can be incredibly faithful with their limited resources, maybe sharing food, working with integrity. Just as a wealthy person can be faithful by using their influence and assets ethically for philanthropy, for good.
It's about the heart, the intention, the obedience, recognizing it all comes from God.
Exactly. Faithfulness in the small things prepares us for bigger responsibilities.
Which implies our spiritual responsibilities are much broader than just writing a check then.
Oh, way broader. It's a whole package.
Yeah.
Collective worship, genuinely loving each other, practically sharing the gospel, working for justice, showing mercy, walking humbly with God in every area.
So God cares more about souls and character than just economic output.
Ultimately, yes.
Hmm.
His concern is transformation of hearts, not just bigger offerings. Our capacity to serve, our willingness to align with his purposes that determines our responsibility. The more we're given wealth, influence, talent, time, the more is expected in how we live out these spiritual responsibilities.
And the story of Daniel is a great example of staying faithful even in tough foreign situations, connecting faithfulness with God's presence.
Daniel's story is incredibly powerful for this. He was smart, elite, educated, but gets dragged off as a captive to Babylon, totally foreign culture, different gods, different worldview from his Jewish upbringing.
Must have been intense pressure to conform.
Huge pressure. He's living and working for foreign kings. He learns their language, culture, excels in his government job. He had to adapt.
But he drew a line.
He drew a clear line. When it came to worshiping idols or breaking core religious laws like dietary rules, he refused, even when his life was on the line. His ultimate loyalty was to God.
And that faithfulness, it connected him to God, but also earned respect.
Paradoxically, yes. His unwavering commitment to God, putting God first, actually connected him deeply with God's power and presence. And it earned him incredible respect and favor from the very pagan kings he served. His tough situation didn't weaken his spiritual commitment. His commitment actually brought God's power into that situation.
So the takeaway is faithfulness with all resources connects us to God, tangible and intangible.
That's it. Faithfulness with money, position, influence, talent, integrity, all of it. It connects us directly to God's presence. When we're faithful, He's with us, working through us, showing His character, even in the hardest places.
A powerful reminder that loyalty transcends circumstances. Okay, that leads us into the next critical area, segment 4, the danger of mammon money as an idol.
Right, and this goes straight to the core conflict, the battle for our hearts.
Yeah.
Matthew 6.24 gives that stark warning from Jesus. No one can serve two masters.
Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other.
Exactly. You cannot serve both God and mammon.
And mammon isn't just cash, right? It's more than that.
It's more than just coins or bills. It comes from the Aramaic word for wealth, but it represents the spirit of greed, the potential for money to become an idol, pushing God out of the center of our lives, demanding our ultimate trust and devotion.
So, again, money isn't evil itself, but it's incredibly alluring. It can easily become a replacement for God, a competitor for our worship.
Precisely. It's a tool, but it seductively offers itself as a master, a source of identity, security, power. We see parallels today, maybe with things like phones or social media. For younger people, they can become totally consuming.
Taking up all the time, energy, focus.
Yeah, pushing God or real relationships to the side. It's similar with money, maybe even more insidious. When all our time, energy, thoughts, emotions are wrapped up in getting it, managing it, worrying about it, God just isn't sovereign anymore. Money starts fostering self-centeredness, anxiety, greed. It slowly, and maybe quickly, reshapes how we see everything.
This source has included a really powerful personal story about this illusion of security money offers. It sounds like it hit home hard. Can you share that?
Yes, it's a very real story, illustrates just how temporary earthly wealth can be, how flimsy that security is. My late wife, she came from a very wealthy background, privileged upbringing, but during the 1997 Asian financial crisis, she lost everything.
Everything. Wow. How quickly?
Shockingly fast. Her assets just collapsed. From 100 down to 50, then 25, then basically nothing. Almost overnight. And you know the instinct in those situations.
So hold on. Don't sell. Don't lock in the loss. Buy more while it's cheap.
Exactly. But that often becomes this desperate trap, especially if you bought with borrowed money. Then the debt just crushes you, makes the loss even worse.
That must have been absolutely devastating. What was that journey like for her, emotionally, spiritually? What did she take away from losing it all?
Oh, it was brutal, deeply traumatic, financially, emotionally, spiritually, seeing everything she'd counted on just evaporate. The illusion that money equals security, control, a shield against life's problems completely shattered.
It taught her something profound then.
In the most visceral way possible, yes. It taught her that earthly things are fundamentally fleeting. You can grasp them tight, put all your hope in them, but they can vanish in a blink, leaving just emptiness where that false security was.
So what was the ultimate realization, the release?
The deep core realization was this. When you die, you take absolutely nothing with you. Not money, not talent, not achievements, not even loved ones in the physical sense. You have to let go of everything.
Everything.
Her experience hammered home that the only constant, the only thing you can truly hold on to, the only source of real lasting security is Jesus Christ. That profound loss totally shifted her perspective. Security moved from the material to the eternal.
Yeah.
Value moved from possessions to spiritual certainty.
So even though she's no longer here,
She knew, and I know, she's with him. And that's the only treasure that truly lasts, that can't be shaken.
Yeah.
It fundamentally changed how she saw life, stuff, and where her ultimate hope lay.
that's incredibly stark, but also deeply hopeful. A powerful reminder of what truly lasts. And it highlights life's value beyond any price tag.
It really does. Life itself is the most precious gift. unquantifiable, worth infinitely more than any economic gain, any possession, any financial security blanket we try to weave.
Think about healthcare costs.
Exactly. We spend fortunes on healthcare insurance,
Hmm.
just dealing with our temporary physical bodies. But that pales next to the immeasurable value of life itself. Those systems put a price on treatments, but they can't buy another breath, another moment.
But Jesus prioritizes life, our souls.
Consistently. His teachings, his sacrifice, it's all about prioritizing our lives, our souls, our eternal relationship with God. He invites us into his kingdom culture, a culture where life, relationships, spiritual richness, a transformed heart. That's what holds supreme, everlasting value, not fleeting material stuff. When we really get that, when we know where true security and value lie, then we can actually enjoy God's abundance in a way money alone never provides.
That is a lot to absorb. It really does challenge how we normally think about being rich or secure. So, wrapping up our mission for this deep dive. Understanding God's view of money lets us tap into his real abundance, walk a blessed path, find true security.
Right. It reminds us that as believers, we are in fact spiritually rich, highly favored, and that has nothing to do with our bank balance.
This wasn't about stock tips or budgeting acts.
No, not at all. It was about shifting perspective, seeing how God views your finances, and crucially, how that impacts your relationship with him, that vital connection.
We've seen money isn't just money. It's a spiritual thermometer revealing our hearts, a test of faithfulness, a battleground for our loyalty. Our financial choices are spiritual choices.
Deeply spiritual.
So here's that final thought for you, the listener, to take away and chew on. If money is just a spiritual thermometer showing the real condition of our hearts, our true loyalties, what temperature is your financial life reading right now?
And what does that reading tell you about your walk with God?
Think about it. Not just how to earn more, but how does God truly see your finances in light of all this? How do your habits, worries, spending, saving, giving, how does it all affect that core relationship?
Keep seeking to align your money choices with his kingdom culture, not just the world's. That's the path to a truly blessed, fulfilling life where your heart's treasure is secure, anchored where it really belongs, in him.